Hello everyone, this is Ration Love. I'm going to be going over a game from two of my friends, Remember and Dejected. Remember is going to be playing the 3 Footsoldier Antirush. Dejected is going to be playing regular Antirush. The difference between those two is 3 Footsoldier Antirush is 3 Footsoldiers, regular Antirush is only 1 Footsoldier. 3 Footsoldier Antirush is said to have an advantage over regular Antirush just because of the sheer amount of HP and more units required to be BC'd out. And if you do not know what these two setups are, go look at my strategy guide in the info section down below this video, or go on Wikipedia and search them up. But basically, this is a game called Conquest. It's a mini game for Runescape, and I thought we could use some publicity because this game's a lot of fun. It's a fun strategy game. If you like strategy, it's definitely worth trying. A lot of people are willing to help you learn. And there's a friends chat that you can join called Mob Conquest that hosts this minigame, and you can find games a lot easier using that. But without further ado, let's get into the game here and see what it has to offer. Alrighty. So Dejected decides to play Scout up 4. This is the typical opening, playing Scout up 4. You don't really want to play Scout up 6 because it's out of range, or it'll be countered with a Footsoldier up 4. Scout up 5 makes it easier for your opponent to BC champion. So they're basically just doing the same moves. Scout up 4, Dejected moved 2 scouts up 4, Remember moved 1. Now Remember moves his Footsoldier up 3, and this is to basically make it so his Footsoldier is 1 space away from the other scout's range and attack. And basically Dejected says, hey, that's a good idea, I'm going to copy you. So basically does the same thing. And Remember says, hey, I think I liked your scout idea, so we're going to copy that as well. So we see identical openings. Basically, Dejected started 1 turn ahead of Remember, so he is going to be 1 turn ahead in this game. So just keep that in mind. So, here in the game, Remember moved his scout up 4. So they have like identical setups, basically. And now Dejected's going to take Remember's scout. Remember's going to take Dejected's scout. But instead of moving another scout forward, Remember decides to actually just take the scout with the scout that he moved up, rather than developing another piece. And I thought that was a little bit interesting. Personally, myself, I would want to develop more pieces into the game. But, hey, that's his choice. Now Dejected decides to transpose into the Scout up 4, Scout up 3 offensive attack. Basically with the idea to attack Remember scout and use stoicism, and then basically move his other scout up 3 after, or up 6 after Remember chastises. So what Remember decides to do is to transpose his own game into the Footsoldier gambit. Basically you move your champion and your Footsoldier forward, and then your Footsoldier forward again, in hopes to get your opponent to battle cry out your Footsoldier for some nice points. So basically they're both into this, and this time Dejected decides to play Halberd up 2. And basically what this does is it puts his champion, or puts Remember's champion in charge BC range of Dejected's Halley. So Remember's going to have to move his champion back. He wants nothing to do with that, obviously. You don't want your champion being weakened like that early in the game. So he moves it back. And now because Dejected is far enough ahead of material, he's actually going to charge Battlecry his scout. And the reason for this is because basically he wants to weaken Remember's champion. So if Remember tries and counterattacks with his champion, his Halberd's up 3. So it's going to be a useless attack, basically. Because Halberds are great defensive units and outdistance champions by space, so his Halberd is protecting him from Remember's champion. But Remember plays a weird move. Instead of playing Charge BC, he decides to charge BC his own Footsoldier and trade off Footsoldiers on the board. And I thought this was weird, because he's giving up a counterattack that he could have just made simply and avoided this situation. And it kind of gave Dejected the advantage, in my opinion. So now we see Footsoldier takes another scout, because it obviously wants to take another piece. That's kind of obvious. So it's going to do Footsoldier take scout. And it's going to be putting Dejected scout up in the air. Right here. Right there. Now Dejected scout's up in the air. So Dejected's going to have a little bit of a hard time deciding what to do, because now he's going to be down 3 scouts. Rather than just down like 1 scout. So basically what he decides to do is he decides to take the Footsoldier and then use stoicism on his scout that's being attacked. To protect it, obviously. So this was an interesting tactical shot in my opinion. I thought it was really fascinating that Dejected actually decided to use stoicism on the scout. So we're going to see what this plan follows here. So he used stoicism right there. What's his opponent going to do? His opponent decides to move his champion into the corner. Now the reason for this is basically to try and get his champion out of range of fire. Because it's weakened to 200 HP. He doesn't want it in the way of anything right now. Definitely not with that Halley up. But yeah. Now, Dejected decides to move his Halberd to 4. Protecting the scout, basically. So, the scout is still being attacked, obviously. But now, now Dejected can actually recapture with the Halberd. And I thought that was an excellent idea, in my opinion. I thought it was a really good idea because now, if Scout takes Scout, then obviously Halberd takes Scout. So now it's a little bit more of an even trade. This kind of forces Remember to recapture and basically trade down more pieces, and I think that's an excellent move, in my opinion. It also forced Remember to lose his positioning over the middle of the board, as you can see. Now, Dejected is basically forcing his opponent into a weird position. So let's go back and look at this move here. Alright. So right here, Remember realizes that Dejected's Halberd is challenging his champion here with 200 HP. And right now his champion is hanging. So what he does is he decides to move him in the corner and use stoicism on him. The reason for this is to protect him from getting killed by the Halberd. Dejected made Remember use Chastice already. So now what Dejected's going to do is he's going to move his champion up 4 to protect his Halberd now. Now that he knows he cannot kill the champion, he's going to protect his Halberd, because he knows his opponent's going to get charged BC next turn. So that's a good move, protecting your pieces with a major piece. That's always good. So as you can see, Remember is forced into a defensive position, and now he's forced to move his Halberd up to protect his champion. Now this is kind of just a dangerous position for Remember. He's forced defending, his opponent's controlling the entire board, basically. And so, Dejected takes advantage of this, obviously, because he's controlling most of the board, and now he's basically planning Scout Charge BC out champion. Now, keep in mind, his champion is protecting his Halberd. It's within 3 spaces, so even if Remember charges his Halberd, it's not going to do anything. But Remember decides to charge his Halberd, and this is actually a mistake, because his stoicism is still involved, or gone, basically, on cooldown. So what happens? He charges and kills the Halberd. His opponent, Dejected, decides to charge BC, kill the champion, and Chastice the Halberd. This is a great move by Dejected, greatly played. I like how he checked the HP before he attacked, just to be sure it was the right champion. You always want to be safe than sorry. And basically he chastises the Halberd. So he is going to win that Halberd no matter what. His opponent's going to win the Scout, but he's not really worried about that. Now it's basically 2 champions versus 1 champion. If you just take off all the minor pieces of the board, that's basically what's happening right now. So, he takes a Halberd. Now, Remember has one more tactical shot that I'd like to go over in this game, obviously. And it's a very interesting tactical shot, in my opinion. So, what he decides to do is he decides to move his champion up 3. And I thought this was a great move because of the trap in Untitled. And Dejected fell for it like a pile of books, basically. So I thought it was a really good game, and it made this game a lot closer than it probably should have been. Dejected probably should have moved his champion back when he saw this. But basically, keep in mind, Remember doesn't have charge and BC back yet, so basically he can't do anything like that. But basically what he's trying to do is he's trying to move his Scout up and set up a trap. So basically, what Dejected should have done is move his champion back, in my honest opinion. But he decides to move his Halberd up. And then basically the idea with this is if Remember moves his Scout up, Dejected can move his champ behind the Halberd at some point in time and stop it from being in range of scouts. Now, there is one little problem with this tactic that, remember, or Dejected tried using the Halberd tactic. Basically, what happens, unfortunately for him in the game, Dejected, or Remember plays Scout up 6. And this forces the champion into an awkward position here. It cannot retreat because it's still in range of the scout, and it can't really capture either because the champion's protecting the scout. So, what is he really going to do in this situation? Obviously, his champion's either going to die or get weakened. So, is he going to move it back? Is he going to move it forward and risk it? What's going to happen here? So basically, what he decides to do, I think, is a pretty good idea. What he decides to do is he decides to move his Halberd up 4, actually. I thought this was a really good move. I'll show you this now. So basically, he moves his Halberd up 3 spaces, rather, not 4. And this is a great move, in my opinion, because he knows his champion's going to be weakened no matter what happens. And he doesn't really want to move it forward and attack anyways. And it does offer his opponent up to BC out the Halberd, which would probably be a mistake in this position. But yeah, it forces his opponent to do that move, and that's good. And now, he's going to move his champion up 4. And basically what this is doing is protecting the Halberd. He chastises the champion because he needs to move his other one back. So that's a good move, in my opinion. His opponent's obviously going to Chastice him back here. At least Chastice his 200 HP champion. Because basically, he has charged BC this turn, so his opponent has to Chastice his champion, and that's why. And if you didn't see the move before, yeah, he chastised his champion, he moved his Footsoldier forward. The clip accidentally got cut there, so I apologize. There's nothing really we can do about that, but yeah. So what Dejected decides to do is he decides to weaken the Footsoldier with his Halberd. And obviously this weakens, in my opinion, this doesn't really do anything to help him in this position that much. In my honest opinion. But he gets his opponent into a losing position, obviously. And Dejected knows at this point that he's probably going to win this game. Because he has 2 champions, his opponent only has 1. So what does his opponent decide to do? He decides to try and do another tactical shot. And if Dejected didn't make the wrong move, he could have drawn the game, or even lost it. So, let's see what happens here. What do you think Remember is going to do? He moves his champion up 4 and uses stoicism on the and kills the Halberd. So now his champion is protected from battle cry, and it's going to be safe. What Dejected decides to do, he decides to take the footy out of there and use stoicism on his 200 HP champion to protect it from being killed. So yeah, basically that's what happened. Then his opponent used charge and whacked him. Whacked his 500 HP champion. And basically traded off champions. And I thought this was a nice little ending tactic to try and get a win. Because if Dejected doesn't take his champion here and takes the Footsoldier, basically what happens is it's going to be a draw because... Or it'll be more likely a draw because his champion here is just going to be in trouble. So what happens here? He chastises Dejected's champion. He's going to BC next turn, and this is like his last shot at winning. If Dejected just attacks the Footsoldier, he'll lose. So what is he going to do? He's obviously going to battle cry and kill the Footsoldier, and that's the end of the game. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more analysts on these games. I hope you enjoyed. That's all for now.